evening, as we gather to commemorate the 78th anniversary of the Independence Day of the Republic of the Union of Myanmar, we are deeply honored by your presence, which adds great significance to this special occasion. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ashabu al-Sa'ada, al-Dayuf al-Karam, Sayyidatu wa Sada, Masa'ul Khair wa Ahlan wa Sahlan bikum Jami'an. بالنيابة عن سفارة جمهورية اتحاد ميانمار يشرفني ويسعدني أن أرحب بكم في هذا المساء ونحن نجتمع لإحياء الذكرى الثامنة والسبعين لاستقلال جمهورية.
Excellencies, Madams, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, very good evening and Mingalaba. First of all, in my capacity as Ambassador of Myanmar to Egypt, and on behalf of the government and the people of Myanmar, it is my great pleasure to warmly welcome you this evening to celebrate the 78th anniversary of the Independence Day of the Republic of the Union of Myanmar. On this auspicious occasion, I would like to convey my warmest greetings and best wishes for happiness, prosperity, and continued success to the government and the friendly people of Egypt, as well as my colleagues from the whole diplomatic corps. It is also my pleasure and honor to extend my sincere appreciation to Ambassador Hamza and to all distinguished guests for being with us this beautiful evening. The actual date of our Independence Day falls on 4th January. On 4th January of 1948, Myanmar regained its independence from British colonial rules 78 years ago. After a long and arduous struggles marked by the courage, sacrifice, and resilience of the entire Myanmar population, who bravely fought against colonialism and shed their blood and sweat for freedom. Since regaining independence, Myanmar has been standing in the world as an independent and sovereign state nation. Just 5 years after independence, Myanmar established diplomatic relations with Egypt in 1953, making Egypt one of the earliest countries with which Myanmar formed formal diplomatic ties. On these meaningful occasions, I would also like to recall that Myanmar and Egypt have enjoyed long-standing friendly relations since 1953. Our two countries were also among the co-founders of the historic non-aligned movement. To this day, both countries continue to uphold non-aligned and neutral foreign policies in line with founding principles and values of the non-aligned movement. Reflecting this convergence of the foreign policy orientation, Myanmar was among the earliest countries to establish an embassy in Egypt since 1955, becoming the second Southeast Asian country to do so. Likewise, Egypt established its embassy in Myanmar in 1956 and remains the first and only African country to maintain an embassy in Myanmar. These deep-rooted and well-established relations were further witnessed by the state visits and exchanges during the 1950s and 1960s. In April 1955, the presidents Kamal Abdel Nasser paid an official visit to Myanmar before attending the historic Bandung Conference to launch the national non-aligned movement. In this visit to Myanmar, President Nasser even participated in our New Year festival together with our late Prime Minister Unu. As you can see in the picture, what a lovely memory. Also, our late Prime Minister Unu Win and another late Prime Minister Unu of Myanmar officially visited Egypt in 1959 and 1961. And given that they share a close personal friendship with President Nasser, these historic exchanges of state visits, of course, date back many years, but still remain important milestones and lay down the foundation for the enduring friendship and cooperation between our two countries to this day. Since those early years, both sides have consistently maintained cordial and friendly relations. However, in more recent years, our bilateral engagement has somewhat slowed and high-level exchanges of visits have become less frequent. Therefore, since my arrival here in Egypt, I have been firmly committed to reactivating and further strengthening the cordial relations between our two countries based on mutual goodwill and shared interests. In 2025, we achieved significant progress by signing two important bilateral agreements with Egypt. The first is an agreement on institutional and academic cooperation between two think tanks called Egyptian Council for Foreign Affairs and Myanmar Institute of Study and International Studies. The second is an agricultural cooperation agreements between the Ministry of Agriculture of Myanmar and Ministry of Agriculture and Land Reclamations of Egypt. These agreements are particularly noteworthy as they represent the first and the second bilateral agreements signed in 31 years since 1994. We are delighted to witness officials from both countries reconnecting in formal setting once again. These agreements mark important initial steps toward revitalizing and further strengthening our bilateral relations. Building upon these achievements, we expect to see regular exchange and visits in the near future. In the coming months, the Egyptian think tank's delegation will visit Myanmar and hold the meetings and seminars with its counterparts in Myanmar. Likewise, we will send our agricultural trainees to Egypt, and we will also invite the Egyptian experts to Myanmar for cooperation in key areas of agricultural sectors. While this initiative may appear modest, but I firmly believe it holds a strong potential to reactivate and elevate our bilateral relations towards a comprehensive strategic partnership in the years ahead. In parallel, we are actively working to promote bilateral trade and economic cooperation. Recently, the Myanmar business delegation, led by the chairman of the largest airlines in Myanmar, has visited Egypt to explore partnership opportunities with Egypt Air, with the aim of facilitating business and tourism travel between Myanmar and Egypt. During the same visit, Myanmar business delegations also explored promising investment and commercial opportunities in Egypt. In reciprocal manner, Egyptian business persons and officials from the Ministry of Investments are going to travel to Myanmar very soon for holding detailed discussion with the private sector of Myanmar. Furthermore, we are working towards the establishment of our Myanmar-Egypt Business Council in the near future. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, in the spirit of renewing and expanding Myanmar-Egypt relations, allow me to briefly highlight several additional initiatives currently underway. We are actively working towards the signing of some other new memoranda of understanding with Egypt, including an engagement to facilitate official travel between our two countries. In addition, we are pursuing the conclusion of an economic and technical cooperation agreement between our two governments to further support and promote private sector engagement. These initiatives are already in progress, and I'm confident that they will be successfully realized in the near future. Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, allow me also to take this opportunity to briefly update you on recent political developments in Myanmar. Recently, nationwide elections has been conducted in Myanmar in 3 phases, all of which were successfully carried out in the presence of international election observers and media representatives. As a result of these elections, a democratically elected government will be formed by the end of March. This significant political transition is highly expected to bring positive change across the political, economics, and all sectors in Myanmar. But this has not been an easy task. While the transition process has not been without challenge, we remain confident that these challenges will be overcome through the high both and collective efforts. In conclusion, I'm firmly convinced that the bonds of friendship and the fruitful cooperation between Myanmar and Egypt will continue to grow and flourish in all areas through our mutual benefits in the years to come. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Southeast Asia, between the world's two most populous nations, China and India. The country is comprised of 7 regions, 7 states, and the Union Territory called Nay Pei Taw. Myanmar is a vibrant melting pot of over 135 national races, each contributing to a rich tapestry of culture. However, we live in unity amid diversity. From the northern mountains to the southern coasts, 8 major national races, Kachin, Kaya, Kayin, Chin, Bamar, Mon, Rakhine, and Shan live in unity and mutual respect. Kachin State, located in northernmost part of Myanmar, is home to the snow-capped mountains, the highest peaks in Southeast Asia. Discover Kaya State, famous for its iconic pagoda, waterfalls, and the unique traditions of the Padong tribe wearing rings at their neck.